Welcome back. This is the 12th week. It means this is the last week for this course. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you guys. In this week, we are going to do two things. First, we will complete the chapter that we started towards the end of the last week video, and we studied externalities there. In that way, we are going to study public goods now, and then that would conclude the chapter, and then we will move to the last topic, that is platform economics. I should warn you that for platform economics we are not going to go in depth. We will have very basic preliminary thing. We will begin with some of the concepts that is required, introduce platform, and then we will again get into the details of those concepts. But I should again warn you that chapter would end abruptly, because this is just the beginning for platform economics. Perhaps some other time, some other place, we could talk about platform economics in more detail. Let us first concentrate on public good. And to understand public good, we should talk about two characteristics of any good. One is that good can be either rival in nature or characteristics, or could be non-rival in characteristics. What do we mean by rival and non-rival? Let us say if I am using this pen that I use to write on my stylus, no one else can use this pen. So, its use in rival in nature. But the concept that I am teaching you, what you are learning from me, just because you are learning, it doesn't diminish the value that someone else is also getting from learning these materials. Then I can say that teaching as this good and service is non-rival in nature. When use of an item doesn't decrease the value, doesn't diminish the value that can be enjoyed by others, then we say that good is non-rival in nature. Similarly, we have another term, that is excludable or non-excludable. Can we exclude someone from using this material that I am giving you? Yes, IIT Chennai can put this material behind a login password, and then people who do not have that login or password would not be able to learn this material, at least from me. Then in that way IITM can exclude others, perhaps people who do not pass previous courses, or perhaps people who have not paid fee, so that it is excludable. But think about another material that is available on YouTube, freely available on YouTube, then no one can be excluded from using that material. So these two concepts are very important: rival versus non-rival, and excludable versus non-excludable. And we say that a good is public good when it is non-rival as well as non-excludable in nature. Fine. So as simple as this. Now when we have public good, we can also talk about impure public good, but before that let us try to give example of different public good. How about clean air? Let us say government cleans up the air. Because I am using this clean air, does it decrease value for others? Let us say that clean air is available in plenty, and so it is in a way non-rival. Can someone be excluded? No, it's not. It's difficult to exclude, so it is non-excludable. But it's not always non-rival and non-excludable. Think about it. A similar example of clean water. I used to travel 20-30 years back. I would come out of train on platform, I will take water from tap and drink it. Everyone used to do the same thing, because the water that was available on platform was considered clean. But the over a period, perhaps time has changed, water quality has gone down. Now that water available on tap on these railway platform are no longer considered clean. You have to pay money to get bottled clean water to drink. So as soon as you bottle them, it is become excludable, because people who are not paying it, they won't be able to get it. As it is in bottle, it is already rival. Anyway, clean water is anyway rival. If one is drinking it, other cannot drink the same water. So it is anyway rival. But at least clean water gives you example about whether it is excludable or non-excludable. Same thing can happen with clean air. Water quality may deteriorate. You may think of dystopian world 100 years from now. Air is no longer clean. People have to wear mask and a device that gives them clean air. At that time, it is no longer non-rival as well as non-excludable. Now think of defense. Our army is protecting us on border. Can anyone be excluded from this protection? No. So it is non-excludable. How about it is rival or non-rival? Because I am enjoying this protection, it doesn't diminish the value that other is getting from it. So it is also non-rival in nature. But again, there also, when you think about defense, which boundary that we are talking about, people who are outside that boundary are getting excluded. So in a sense, if you think, there are no pure public good. Of course, it's very difficult to come up with an example, almost impossible, that gives you a pure public good. That's why we talk about something which we call impure public good. When a good is not fully non-excludable or fully non-rival, if these, not, we can say not fully rival or not fully excludable, we are in realm of impure public good. I am teaching in a class. Think about one property at a time. I am teaching in a class because you are learning from me. It doesn't diminish the value your other classmates are getting. So it is non-rival. And let us say there are enough empty seats, so one more person can come and join, and so it is non-excludable. Let us say that I am involved in public teaching, I have no right to exclude anyone, but the class size is limited. Let us say it is for 500. The people beyond that 500, it won't be able to we won't be able to include everyone, whoever wants to come, if whoever wants to come has a number more than 500, and in that sense that would become not fully rival, not fully excludable. So that we have to keep in mind. Now we can say there are 4 types of good, because we have 2 characteristics. Both characteristics can take 2 values: rival, non-rival, excludable, non-excludable. So if it is rival and excludable, we have private goods. The whole course we devoted to private goods like toffee, pen, pencil, ice cream. These are the goods we have spent time talking about. When it is non-rival but excludable, we call them club good. Let us say a cricket match is happening in Wankhede Stadium or Eden Garden, it's happening in Calcutta. People who do not have tickets can be excluded. But if I am watching the match in the garden, Eden Garden, it would not diminish the value of other people who are participating in this event. So club, they are, it's excludable but non-rival. So one can say cricket match in a stadium is a kind of a club good, or all clubs, they work on this principle. So club creates a barrier, it excludes non-members, but whatever is available in the club is non-rival in nature. Watching movies in movie theater can also be called club good. Now you have goods which are rival but non-excludable, we call it common property. We can say like fish in a sea. It is rival because if you consume that fish, someone else will not be able to consume that fish. So it is rival in nature. But can someone be excluded from catching that fish? If it is international, if it is in international water, you cannot exclude them. So it is called common property. And when a good is non-rival and non-excludable, we call it public goods. Example could be clean air and defense. That's what we had discussed. Now I should also add, if you think about, when we have public good, how much is the marginal cost to provide that public good? Let us say marginal cost is 500 rupees or 500,000. So let us say, and but after that cost to provide to one more person is 0. We can say like this, 0. Everyone can enjoy. How about the benefit? Benefit, let us say, can be for everyone 600 or 500, may go up, may come down, but there is benefit, it doesn't go to 0. One can say it's at least this way. But cost happens for the first unit, but everyone gets it without diminishing the value for the other. We have already talked about the provision of private good. We have on the consumer side, we have a person 1 whose demand looks like this. Let us say there is a person 2 whose demand looks like this, and by adding them up, we can get market demand. Wherever is the supply curve, we get here, and that's how the price is determined. At this price, different units, this equilibrium units are bought and sold, and that's how it happens. Someone comes in the market and gets, sell the product, because it is people who are not willing to pay will not get the good, and that's how a private company is making money by providing it. Now when it comes to provision of public good, there is a huge problem. We have a problem that has a name, it's called free rider. What is a free rider? First understand, let us say that you like this public good and you pay for it. Once it is provided, I get to enjoy, because public good is non-rival and non-excludable. So you cannot exclude me, and just because you are consuming it, my value from consuming this is not coming down. So I have no incentive to pay, and this is the free rider problem. My nature, my idea of not paying, my incentive for not paying and let others pay for the public good while I still enjoy the benefit is called free rider problem. And public good provision suffers from this free rider problem. Okay, so that we have to understand. So how can be public good be provided? First thing that we should understand here, how are we getting the market demand? Market demand we are getting by horizontally summing the individual demand. Can we sum up here horizontally? We should not be summing up horizontally, we should be summing up vertically. Why? Let us understand that for public good, everyone is consuming the same quantity. what was happening here? Everyone was paying the same per unit price, but different people were consuming different amount. Here everyone is consuming the same quantity, but their marginal benefit, their marginal benefit could be different. So, if we want the provision for it, we should add up each person marginal benefit and we equate it to the marginal cost. So, not only we have P and Q, we also have marginal benefit and Q in the demand curve. So, if we add up the marginal benefit for the same quantity, the summation has to be vertical in nature. That is what you should understand, and this is what is called Samuelson, who was an economist and second Nobel Prize winner, not in the first year but in the second year. This is called Samuelson Rule, and this is applicable for public good. And the problem is that no one has incentive to pay for public good. So, that is where you have government coming into picture. Government has to make provision for public good, perhaps through taxation, or by providing charging a fixed fee from everyone. That is also a form of taxation. So, government has an important role to play in provision of public good. Okay. So, that is it on public good. In next video we are going to talk about economics of platform, and we are going to start with network effect, because network effect forms the foundation of economics of platform. Thank you.